Alex is a 13-year-old male student in Year 8. Living with his mum, sister and dog Rover, we can already see here that Alex has no father figure in his life. This can mean that no one has taught him to play footy or a simple game of catch. Boys at a young age need a father figure for them to look up to. Alex spends a lot of time on his computer, which means he is highly sedentary and that he is not getting enough exercise. This can lead to an increase in cardiovascular health issues, example heart disease, high blood pressure, etc., which all lead to mortality. As he is sedentary, not being active results in becoming overweight, body mass index of 28. As he is overweight, this makes him lose confidence in his PE classes, and therefore Alex misses his PE classes. He also hates sport because he is not good at it. As he hates sport, his confidence is low, which causes him to miss classes. Therefore, his sedentary behaviour, which can lead to more serious consequences, like becoming obese. Alex and his peers completed a baseline screening of fitness testing. He performed at an average level compared to others in his cohort, but most of his fitness test results showed he was below average. One test in particular was a concern, which was his pacer test. This test showed he scored 43 laps, which can tell us that he is at the lower end of the HFZ. As Alex hates sports, we need to make sure we can do everything we can to try and make it fun for him. For example, as he has a dog, Rover, we can encourage him to walk the dog after school hours. Walking the dog is not just fun, it also gives him the chance to clear his head and focus on the dog. When designing this session, we added elements of walking the dog and also visiting the park with the dog. He can throw a ball around with the dog, which encourages more running, and also throwing, which increases his strength. In the lesson plan, we must make sure it is engaging for him, as he will get bored easily and lose confidence. We must also make sure that it is engaging for him, as well as he will get easily caught. We must also take into consideration how hard we push him. We must push him, but not to the point where he gives up. This is where positive feedback comes into play. Every step of the way, we must provide positive feedback and allow for positive growth and confidence, which results in him keep trying and obtaining positive health attributes. In fitness testing now. The test in this case study was the pacer test. The pacer test measures the aerobic endurance of the runner, VO2 max, which the amount of oxygen can be taken up and used by the body. Aerobic capacity refers to the ability of your cardiovascular heart, blood and blood vessels, and respiratory system, lungs, airways and nose work together to produce energy. These systems deliver nutrients, oxygen to the working muscles, and also remove toxic byproducts. This test targets the aerobic energy system and measures how aerobically fit someone is. The pacer test gets progressively harder as it goes on. The student is meant to try and keep up with the beeps and to try and make it to the 20-meter mark in time before the beep. As the test goes on, the intervals between the beeps go faster and faster. These tests aerobic capacity of the runner estimates their VO2 max. The higher the level the student makes it to, the higher capacity and VO2 max that student has. In the case of Alex, he stopped at 43 laps. This means his aerobic capacity for his age group is at the lower end of the HFZ. The score means he has completed 43 laps, which is relatively low, leading to the fact because he is overweight, he has a low aerobic capacity, which means it is hard to get into the healthy fitness zone without dropping weight. Increasing respiratory rate, increased heart rate, increased ventilation. His body is not used to being worked like this, so it's a shock for those organ systems when they have to increase their work rate to help deliver oxygen and nutrients to the working muscles as soon as they can. Thank you.
So this activity is called ladder relay. It's the first activity of the main body. It is a relay race where students are divided into two or so how many groups, we're a bit limited on numbers. The equipment that we use are usually either ladders or lines. We've got cones in place, but preferably you want to use something that's flat so students don't trip over it. In groups, one student races at a time. On the signal go, students will run over the cones. They go to the other end and tag their teammate. They keep doing this once everyone goes through. The idea of this is to get is to work on running stride and getting the form of running, pumping your arms, lifting your legs, getting a good length stride to improve your running capacity. And yeah, you can modify this by making it longer, increasing the group size. Whatever. This is a warm-up activity. Flip the cone. The class is divided into two groups. One group is aiming to flip the cone on its head, and another group is aiming to flip the cone normally. Each player has a marker, and within this area, the groups try to make the cone their own right way up. On the signal, players will move in, and within a certain time limit, their aim is to try and flip the cones over. This is just to get the students warmed up and get that heart rate pumping. After this, we'll check for understanding and go from there. So this is the second activity. It's a short 5-minute one or about there. For this one, students jumping from side to side over a hurdle or a line. You can modify it in different ways to make it easier or harder. You know, for students who aren't as athletic, make the hurdle or the jump smaller, or for students that are, make it higher. The hurdle one it is aimed more towards power and that vertical jump, whereas this one is more about speed and trying to go over as quick as you can. Students aim to do this for about 30 seconds. They do it for 30 seconds. Once that is up, there's another 30-second rest, and they go again and do about 3 rounds of this. This is just it's kind of a form of interval training. It gets them to work on, build their aerobic capacity, and also working on power and speed as well. So this one is called Sally and Steve. The idea of this one, students are paired. They start from 2 starting points facing opposite each other. They have a beanbag each that's located on the opposite side of the court. When the whistle goes on, when the teacher calls on the whistle, whatever signal there is, they go and they try to sprint as fast as they can, collect the beanbag and bring it back here and dump it in the middle. So go. So whoever comes back first wins a point. There are some safety considerations. You want to make sure that they're not too close starting together, otherwise there could be some head collisions, and also that they're not too close to walls. The way you can modify is that the starting position could be sitting down or standing up, or however you want to do it, or they can collect more than one beanbag. That's pretty much it. So this last activity is it's called Formula 1. It's a relay race with obstacles in between. With this one, students are set up into groups of 4 or 5. You can change the number depending on how many students there are. The obstacle course is supposed to be over about 60 or 80 meters, but because of limited space, we've had to deal with this. But the idea is that you have different sections of the course where you have a flat sprint, a bit of jumping or hurdling, and a bit of zigzagging. It's a circuit, or a circle. So a student is to run around the whole circle, come back to the start, and tag another student in. And on the teacher signal, they go. Go, Jimmy. You can change obstacles within the course. You can make it bigger or longer depending on students' abilities. The next student comes in, gets tagged, and does the course. Once every student has gone through, the time's up. This course is supposed to be timed, so the teacher or another student can time the whole